Hello and welcome to the Beyond 6 Seconds podcast. I'm your host, Carolyn Keel, and on today's episode, I'm speaking with Caroline Mincks, a writer, director, and voice actor based out of Virginia. They are best known for their audio drama, Seen and Not Heard, which is about navigating hearing loss as an adult. They also work as a consultant, assisting other creators in making their shows accessible to as many people as possible. Caroline, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to meet you. I feel like we've been following each other on social media probably around the time a couple of years ago when we both started podcasting, or at least when I started podcasting. So
yeah, I started 2019. So yeah, right around the same time.
Yeah, right before you, 2018. So yeah, I'm excited to finally get to see you in person over the internet and
finally.
have a chat. I know. After all these years, I recently listened to all of season 1 of Seen and Not Heard, and then the episodes that are out so far for season 2. And I just love it. It's captivating. And I'm really excited to just hear about how you put this show together and what inspired it. So, initially, how did you get the idea for writing Seen and Not Heard?
Oh my gosh. Well, the idea of it went back. I've been working on it for years. I started when I was about 19, and I started losing my hearing when I was a teenager, when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And when I was in college, I got really into the idea of working in deaf theater and learning sign language and doing that. And that didn't quite pan out for me, but I was like, I love writing. I love playwriting. Maybe I'll make a play about this. And that didn't quite work. And then the other play I tried didn't work. The comic book version didn't work. The novel version didn't work. And then I finally found podcasting, and I thought, wouldn't this be interesting? A purely audio medium telling a deaf story that could be kind of cool. And maybe it won't work, but it's worth a shot. So I just went for it. I just said one day I'd do it, and then I did. And I committed publicly so that I couldn't back out. I said it on the internet, so it had to happen because that's how that works.
Mm-hmm. So was this the first, audio drama or anything like this that you wrote about deafness?
About deafness, yeah, specifically. I had made another kind of training wheels show just to get the hang of it. But this was the first one that and it was a pretty vulnerable show to do. It's like your first big thing that attaches your name to it. And yeah, I went for it. And since then, I've done several other kind of consulting things or episodes of things that have to do with deafness in podcasting. So that has been really cool.
That's awesome. And so we mentioned the one sentence summary in your bio of what the show is, but tell me more about the premise of the show.
So I always say it's about hearing loss, deaf gain, navigating the world through changing circumstances. So what it really, though, is about is what it's like when, frankly, the rug gets pulled out from under you. It's about the protagonist who I voice. Her name is Bet. She's really driven. She had a whole career plan. She did the college thing and then the working after college thing, and that didn't work. So she did the culinary school thing. And she was just about to start her career, got sick, lost about half her hearing. And that just changes everything. It's a whole adjustment period. And the show picks up about a year after that has happened. So you don't actually go through the hearing loss and the immediate experience of that with her, because I felt that was so secondary to what happens next. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, how does this change your relationship with people? How does it change how you relate with new people that you meet versus people you used to know and your family and so on and so forth. And it was challenging to kind of figure out what's the ideal version of that and then what's the realistic version of that, and how do I go somewhere in the middle, because that's where aspirational reality lies, I guess you could call it. Mm-hmm. So I try to present that in the show. Look, we get that it's not going to be perfect, but ideally we could at least try. And I'm hoping that it gave people a sense of sort of what it's like to be my version of deaf, mm-hmm. and how you can be supportive.
Yeah, it really gives a lot of new insights, at least for me as a listener, as someone who's not deaf, just really kind of getting immersed and getting kind of a first person view, because you're really seeing things through Beth's eyes for this whole season, all the series. So, and there's just so many things that, small things that you don't really think of if you're someone who hasn't experienced deafness before. And it really kind of puts them into that whole, perspective and really kind of guides you through that experience. It was a really great learning experience, and I really appreciated and enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. We have a really amazing sound designer, Tal Manier, who just an incredible, incredible sound designer. And they worked really closely with me to figure out what those soundscapes sound like, because I didn't want it to be a gimmick. We really, both of us felt really strongly, we don't want this to be gimmicky. We don't want to be like, and now you know what it's like to be deaf. Like, no, but you will get a sense of, oh, that's what it sounds like. Okay, so maybe I can be a little more patient when someone needs me to repeat myself over and over. Or like if it seems like someone's not paying attention, maybe they just didn't hear me and I can just assume that instead of thinking the worst, and it hopefully will be helpful. And I've had people say that they've used some of those scenes to show people what it's like for them. And I was just like, Tal, you're not going to believe it. Like, it's the best. It's such a good feeling to know that it's helpful.
Yeah. And I know there are certain parts of the episodes where the sound design actually mimics sort of what your experience of hearing is, so that the the listener can actually experience not being able to hear someone when they say something. So it's not just like I'm telling you about it. It's like, no, you're experiencing it with Beth, the main character. So that was so interesting. It's like I can't imagine how to recreate something that I hear, but then like I want to make sure other people hear it the way I hear it. So that's a lot of creativity with that. Yeah.
It was a whole thing, because I was like, gosh, do I have enough hearing to actually judge if this sounds correctly deaf? Like, what a weird pretzel of a question to ask yourself. But thank goodness for really good headphones and hearing aids, because we got there.
And then, I think some people may have assumptions or stereotypes when they hear the word deaf. They think like 100% no hearing at all, like complete silence. But that's actually what I'm learning recently, really not the experience of probably most deaf people or people who are hard of hearing. And that's another thing that you get to experience through this podcast, because there may be some people listening wondering like, how can you be deaf and make a podcast and hear enough to be able to edit the sound? But really deafness is really a spectrum, like so many other disabilities.
Yes, so, we love spectrums. We are all about spectrums. There's nuance to everything. Yeah. And it's true. That is something that a lot of people don't understand. So when I tell them, oh, I'm deaf, and they're like, oh, but you're talking and listening to me. I'm like, yes, but also I am deaf. Like the two things are true. And yeah, profound deafness, which is like 100% no hearing whatsoever, is not super common. Most people have at least a little bit of hearing, or they have some on one side and less on the other. It really varies from person to person, just like anything else.
Yeah, definitely. And you really get that experience through the show of, as you said, you didn't want to make something that was like over the top or preachy or like, this is what it's like. But because it is first person, you really do get the experience of kind of the big moments, like misunderstanding, and why it's so frustrating when people don't want to repeat themselves and dismiss it. Like things that you learn about, it's like, oh, actually, that's really annoying if it happens to you several times a day, every day. And this is why. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really important to me, because I think that there is that feeling of dismissal a lot.
Yeah.
And it's something we call it dinner table syndrome as well, where you just kind of you're there, but you can't really participate because no one's trying to include you, or they're not thinking to, like, they're not bothering to repeat themselves, or they repeat themselves, but they don't quite say it the way they did before. So the message is different. So you're still lost. And it's like, just repeat yourself, please.
Yeah.
Make it easy on us both.
And although it highlights a lot of the challenges in the experience of someone who is navigating their own deafness, that's sort of a recent change and a recent development for them. It's, it's not a depressing show. Like there's a lot of really good, I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, it's so sad. But no, it's amazing because you see the character grow over the course of season 1, and the character meets people, and their relationships with people in their life change significantly, and they change. So it's really great character development too.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a really good time working on it. And I love slice of life in general, because it lets you really dig into kind of what could be really mundane, but is actually really, really important. Like there's a whole conversation that my character has with her dad. They're talking about bagels for like a minute. They're not really talking about bagels, but those are the words they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's nice that this genre lets you do that, and that feels really good. And I think that that's probably one reason people kind of connect with it a little more, because it does feel more real, I think, in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And although really I'd say the main focus is around the main character, Bet, and how the character navigates deafness, there's also some other themes in there. And the reason why,
Yeah.
after I listened to the first season, I'm like, oh, there's actually like a neurodiversity connection in this too, because there is a main character in the show who has OCD, or obsessive-compulsive disorder. And that's another thing that's widely misunderstood, is often like the butt of a joke in media, or, you know, people say, it's another thing people kind of say things about and don't really think about what they're saying.
Oh, I'm OCD. I put my clothes in color order. It's like,
Right.
that's just pretty. Like, that's not, that's not what that means.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So to also be able to experience another main character in the show and what his particular type of OCD is, because, you know, there are different types and different experiences of it as well. And is OCD also part of your own lived experience that you wrote into the show?
It sure is. Yeah. Yes. I am. My therapist one time said, no wonder you diagnosed yourself when you were 12. You're a textbook. I thought that was, she goes, yeah, you're spot on. And originally, when in some iterations of the story, Bet was the one with OCD and the hearing loss, and the whole thing with her was like, didn't I already have enough on my plate? Isn't this like, why do I also have this? But I felt like it kept getting a little too muddy. So I really liked the idea of splitting these two things, because they're such different experiences, but at the same time they're not. They both come with a lot of misunderstanding. They come with a lot of very life-altering things that happen as a result of them. And so to have these two characters who can play off each other, Bet with her deafness that sometimes David's not great at understanding, and David with his OCD that sometimes Bet doesn't understand. And there's going to be a lot more about that in season 2 specifically. We're going to focus a little more on where David's at. But being able to kind of explore both of those things in the same show was really interesting for me, and frankly very cathartic.
Yeah, wow, that's really great. And yeah, it's a lot of vulnerability on your part as the writer and director and voice actor, and really the person who's
putting it all out there. Yeah.
But it really kind of rounds it out. It makes it feel very real, because you bring other parts of your life experience into the show as well. Like, you know, you were mentioning the conversation with the main character and her dad about the bagels. So obviously you bring your Jewish culture and background into that. You know, there's also several characters who are queer. So that's part of it as well.
Lots more of that in season 2 as well.
Okay, yep.
Gets a lot gayer.
At the time of this recording, some of the first episodes of season 2 are out. So definitely seeing those themes in there. That's really cool.
We have some prologues coming, and we've got some full episodes on their way.
Awesome. So how did you cast this? Like, did you specifically look for voice actors who had lived experience of the themes you talked about in your show?
Well, deafness, I had some characters, and I said priority will be given in general to deaf actors, but there were some specific roles that were like they will have to be played by deaf or hard of hearing actors, and that's the same in season 2. I've got some really great people coming in. As far as how I cast it, though, I left it pretty open to interpretation. I didn't even like assign pronouns to any characters or much. Some characters didn't have names yet. I just was like, I know I want that. Like I had like the artist, and I was like, I know I want the artist in here at some point. But all the characters potentially could change, just depending on who I heard and what sparked something. So I just put out a casting call. I wrote some lines. Some were from the show, some were not. And I just said, let me see what you got. You know, give me some just as I wrote it, but also you can ad lib a little bit, or you can try something on for size if you want. I don't care about accent. I don't care about any of that. I don't care if you have a speech impediment, bring it. And we got some amazing people. Like it was really hard to narrow it down, because I was like, oh, there's some great voices in here. This is really hard. But it was both easy and hard to cast. It was easy because everyone was good, and it was hard because everyone was good. Yeah. For the family and David, they were the most, like, if they fell apart, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
So I was picking voices apart and putting mine with them and splicing things together in Audacity just to listen to what the voices sounded like. And I just lucked into these voices that sound like a family. Because like I sound a lot like Sina. We have similar pacing in our talk. She plays my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stephen and Leslie, who played Joe and my sister Sarah, they have slower paces and more gentle voices. So it's like, oh, Bet takes after her mom, Sarah takes after their dad. Okay, and it sounds like a family. And then Sean with his beautiful velvet voice as David. I love his
Mm-hmm.
voice. Oh my god.
Yeah.
He sings opera in real life, and like you can tell when he talks.
I can
Yeah.
hear it. Yeah.
It's so pretty. And his voice cut through. I had no trouble understanding him.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I have at least a little trouble understanding speech, and I had no difficulty with him at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt so important. I was just like, oh, Bet would immediately be comfortable with someone she doesn't have to work so hard
Mm-hmm.
around. And it made that choice a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, that's great because you get to see, Bet and David navigating their own disabilities and their own experiences, but also learning about each other's. So neither of them come in with like a perfect understanding of the other's challenges.
Yeah.
And you get to watch them learn through it. And it's just, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, they both put their foot in it a few times. Bet will a little more in season 2, like spoiler, but girl. I wrote one line and I was like, girl, I know I'm in charge here, but like, you didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like, why'd you say that? I was like, oh, I wrote it.
Like, gosh, I know technically I'm in charge, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it.
When season 1 came out, it's been out for now a few years. Like, what was the audience reaction when season 1 came out of Seen and Not Heard?
I was so overwhelmed because it was such a positive reaction right away. It was so funny because I'm such a very social person. I'm very out there. But I like kind of shut down for a day because I was like, this is too many compliments. I can't handle it. And like I was stressed because then I was also like, what if they hate the next episode? They like this one. It's a strong start. What if the next one's bad or something? Like, thankfully, that's not what happened. People seem to have overall received it really, really well. But I was really surprised by how many people listened to it, and just then getting attention from like it was on a list in The Atlantic, and I was so confused because I clicked on one day and I was like, all these people all of a sudden are like listening to the show. What do you mean I got so many new people? What happened? And my ex-husband, his dad, called and said, do you have a podcast or something? And I was like, yeah, why? So my secretary found your name at The Atlantic. I was like, is this one of yours?
Like, wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, everyone knows now. Okay. And just being in articles like that, I was like, what do you mean I'm in the what? And that was exciting and all, but it was more like getting messages, like private messages from people saying that they, not to like do the title thing, but they felt seen and heard, and they felt like they were understood. And people who aren't deaf or don't have OCD or aren't autistic still felt seen in some ways because they were like, oh, this is what having a disability feels like sometimes. And this is what it's like for me, even though it's a different disability.
Yeah.
And that felt really, really good. And the conversations about accessibility that came out of it, and the conversations about, including deaf actors, not necessarily just to play deaf characters and things like that, that I feel so strongly about. Getting to kind of use the show as like a springboard to get to talk about that stuff was huge, and it all happened at the same time. It all happened really fast. I'm just glad to know people are enjoying it, and that it means something to them, because that's what matters to me.
That's great. And it's great that it resonated not only with people who are deaf or hard of hearing themselves, but also people who have other disabilities or don't have any disabilities at all. Because one, it's a great way to learn and experience what someone is going through that may have different experience than you. But two, there are plenty of other relatable experiences. Like everybody's probably had an argument with their mother or parent about some core part of them that's very important to them, and that's in there. And it doesn't matter what it is, but I think everyone can relate to what that feels like.
Yeah, everybody knows what it's like to lose something. Everybody knows what it's like to have a sudden change in your life that you have to adjust to, and it's really hard. You sometimes just want to throw a tantrum because you just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And like everyone knows what it feels like to feel dismissed. A lot of the things that we talk about in the show, I think, are just straight up human experiences, not necessarily exclusive to disabled experiences.
Yeah. And did you mainly hear from people who are deaf themselves? Like, did you also hear from people who had OCD and who were autistic? Because there's an autistic character as well.
Yeah, I was so excited because I did get some messages from people, and that was the part that made me really, really happy, because I think it was a little fraught to write about OCD. It's something that's hard to portray because it can present so many different ways. Same with autism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my variety of autism looks very different from my son's, right? So, and my variety of OCD looks very different from my best friends,
Yeah.
etc. And so writing about these experiences that are already so misunderstood and often come with a lot of stigma, and to have it received well,
Mm-hmm.
felt really good. It was a huge relief because I was like, okay, whew, like it's coming across right. It's coming across in a, not, I don't mean like, oh, it's a positive thing, but it's not, it wasn't a harmful representation. That's the biggest thing for me. I'm like terrified of the idea of doing harm. That's also an OCD thing. Hey, just to
Mm-hmm.
tie that in. But
Mm-hmm.
it is something that I think about a ton, maybe more than is normal or healthy. But to get the feedback that what was being done on the show was not only not harmful, it was actively helpful.
Mm-hmm.
That meant the world to me. And that was such a, just my shoulders went down and I exhaled as soon as I got those first, few comments about that specifically. That meant a lot.
Yeah, that's great. Because even thinking specifically about OCD, I can't think of a piece of media that really portrays it in a way that's not either inspirational or gimmicky
Mm-hmm.
or sensational or
Monk.
monk. That's literally all I can think. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't watch that show. I don't know how, I don't think it seems like
I
super
love Tony
great.
Shalhoub, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And, with autistic characters, I think some
Mhm.
media we're starting to get things that are a little better, but
Let's go, The Pit. Yeah.
oh,
Oh, The
yeah.
Pit's got some good representation on
Really?
there. If you
I
haven't
need
seen it,
to
it's
watch that show.
fantastic. It's very good. It's a very good show.
I keep getting clips in my Instagram feed of the pit, and I'm like, okay, I
Just
think this
thirst
means
traps.
I'm
Yeah.
supposed to watch it.
It absolutely, the character Mel and her sister will
Mhm.
resonate with you for sure. It's
Okay.
really good. Yeah, I loved it. I was so excited because I was like, oh, I can relate to Mel directly, and I can relate on all these different levels, both as myself and as someone who is a caregiver for someone with autism. That was really, really exciting. But there are some portrayals where it's like, oh, I don't know if you know any autistic people in real life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm glad we're seeing more, and I'm glad we're seeing better. But
Yeah.
whew, we do have a ways to go with that one.
Yeah, definitely.
With all of them, really.
Any media that has like I don't even know how to summarize it. I don't want to say positive, but like almost like a realistic portrayal of what
Yeah.
someone's experience could be or is, understanding that there are many different experiences.
Yeah. I think that's where I go back to what I call the aspirational reality, where
Yeah.
it's like the best case scenario of what is realistic to expect at this point in time with what we know and what we have and what people's attitudes are. Like Bet's parents, for instance, spoiler again,
Mhm.
but like they're not learning sign language, and they're not really meeting her where she's at. Her mom is kind of actively in denial a little bit.
Mhm.
And that sucks, but that's pretty realistic. If I didn't include that, there wouldn't really be a show. There wouldn't really be anything for her to navigate, and it wouldn't be a realistic portrayal. Like I have people in my own life who I've known for years. I've known longer than I've been deaf. So like they were definitely there,
Mhm.
and they still don't quite get it. Like they'll talk to me from another room with the faucet going and then be like, "Why aren't you listening?" Like,
Mhm.
what do you mean? What do you mean why am I not listening?
Yeah.
I physically cannot. And
Mhm.
so it's perfectly normal for people to just not quite get it. And it doesn't make them inherently bad. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're like evil and working against you. And so I think when you talk about what makes you a good ally or a good partner or whatever it is that you're trying to be, I don't think anyone's asking for perfection or for you to know everything, but you gotta try,
Yeah.
and you gotta work with what you have. And once you've figured out how to do all this with what you have, go find more and go find better.
Mhm. Yeah, and as an ally who's learning, you have to you know, you have to try and not be terrified of getting things wrong, which is very hard for me.
Oh, it's
That's
so
the worst
hard.
thing for me is like, oh my God, if I just say
Yes.
like something that is really upsetting and horrible to someone because I didn't know better, or just, yeah.
Oh, I'll think about it for months.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. Same here for
It's
sure.
awful, and it's so hard because you're like, I promise I didn't mean, I promise I'm trying.
Mhm.
But that's the thing, people know if you're coming in good faith and they are not assuming the worst of you. I think we can all maybe agree to like assume the best unless otherwise proven.
Yeah.
Generally, not always, but generally, I think is a good approach here, because I think most people don't want to be jerks.
Yeah.
Like, most people really don't, and I think it's natural too to feel defensive when you make a mistake.
Yeah.
But and that's a natural human instinct, real quick. Like, defensiveness is not inherently bad. It's just you have to manage it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely normal because you want to protect yourself. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But, when you mess up, listen, I tried to give an example of that in the very first episode with David. Like, he really steps in it.
Mhm.
And he gets a little defensive, not overly so, but a little like, oh, I didn't mean to. And that's where we get that whole monologue about the darts and the,
Yep.
and that's a big thing where that's explaining, like, I know you didn't mean to, but I deal with this all of the time and I'm tired. So like, don't do that. Just fix the problem and we can move on. And
Mhm.
and that's really the best you can do.
Yeah.
And that applies to so many things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the defensiveness, as you said, it's a very human and very automatic for many people, and it doesn't make you a bad person, but it's something that you just, if you're keeping that like learning mindset, you just have to be aware of it. It's like, oh, I'm feeling defensive. Like, what does that mean? Maybe I should just like, be
Yeah,
aware of
where's
it
it
and
coming
change what I'm
from,
doing.
really? Yeah, because I think it's always coming from somewhere, probably somewhere else.
Mhm.
And probably nothing necessarily to do with that situation. Or if it is,
Mhm.
it's probably not that exact moment that's making you feel that way.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of isolate the moment you're in and be like, okay, I'm feeling this way. How can I kind of channel that energy into something good? It's like stage fright. I feel stage fright constantly. I've been acting since I was 5 and I've never gotten over stage fright.
Mhm.
But when I'm feeling it, I try to channel it into just having a lot of energy for the performance and trying to like, okay, I'm feeling really jittery. I'm going to use this and really hit all those dance moves if it's a musical. If it's
Yeah.
not, don't be dancing. But if, but, try to use that and try to make it work for you in some way. And I think if you're feeling that kind of defensiveness and that kind of anxiety that rises so quickly when you make a mistake,
Mhm.
if you can kind of have it bounce back and just say, okay, instead of shutting down, because anxiety is a paralytic, I'm going to take this anxiety because it's coming from a desire to do better, or I wouldn't be feeling shame.
Mhm.
So I'm going to use it and just be like, hey, I feel terrible. How can I not feel this way next time? What can I learn from this and do better next time? And then, a while from now, you're not even going to remember it happened in the first place,
Yeah.
because you'll be doing better consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the defensiveness does come from something tied within you, or maybe for some people, it could be like the desire to be seen as a good person. So how could I possibly have hurt someone? I'm a good person, so I need to argue that. It's like, no, you don't need to argue that. It's okay.
Just be it.
just sit with it. And it doesn't mean that you're bad, we're all learning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's the thing too, that like, that's what we see in Bet's mom a lot. Like,
Yeah.
that's where she really is struggling. And we explore a little bit with her dad in season 2, because he's very emotionally supportive, but in practical senses, he's really not. He's also not doing the actual work to meet his daughter where he's at, which is so hard to like, because he's such a sweet character.
Yeah.
And I just love how Stephen plays him. He's so adorable. But it's like, oh, I hate talking bad about Joe, but like, he's not doing the damn work.
Yeah.
and that's just the reality of it. And we're going to get into that in season 2 and kind of talk about why someone who loves their kid this much and knows what they need just isn't delivering it.
Yeah.
And it comes from a shame place. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot to explore, because ableism, out of all the many isms, is just so ingrained that you don't even realize where it is. It's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's in everything. So it's really hard to become aware of it
Oh,
and
yeah.
then do better from that. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And even very well-intentioned things can be a harmful thing. Like, sometimes my son he's not nonverbal, but his verbal capacity is very limited. And people will say things like, he's in there somewhere. I'm like, he's right here.
Yeah.
Like, what do
He can
you
hear
mean?
you.
He's literally 3 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I know what they mean by that, but I always make sure to say something about it because I'm like, that's just not the attitude to have. And when it is something that comes so naturally to all of us, because like I'm sure I can't think of a specific example, but I'm sure I'm guilty of the exact thing that I now scold people about. And it is such a natural thing for people, and it is so normalized.
Mm-hmm.
And examples of it can just go complete, like I just said, I'm like, I can't think of an example, but I'm sure I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
The more we can pluck out specific examples and like put them in our media, in our entertainment, in our
Mm-hmm.
regular conversations, the easier it becomes to identify other versions of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it just becomes a lot easier to have these conversations.
Yeah. Because even when I think specifically about deafness, I think society's perception, and is a big part of ableism in this, and saviorism is, oh, let's fix this. That's the ideal we will fix with like technology or, and we will teach speaking instead of sign
Yep.
language because speaking is better because I don't know why. That's an issue
It's
in the
easier
autistic
for
community
me.
too. Because it's easier for other people. So,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
a big challenge. And people just assume like, oh, of course, like if you were deaf, why wouldn't you want to hear? Why wouldn't that be a great thing? I'm like, well, there's a lot of reasons why it might not be great. And Bet struggles with her hearing aids at the beginning. So that's part of the show too.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well, because I don't want to necessarily take an anti-technology stance because it has its place.
Yeah.
And it's a deeply personal thing. Like I can't see myself ever getting implants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's for me. But I know people who have them and they're very happy with them, and they're like, I love that this has changed things for me in a really good way. And then I know people who had it and they regret it or think they want it, but it's so expensive and it's not accessible to them.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm anti that entirely. I think you should be an adult just because of what that entails. And I think even hearing aids can be a tricky thing to navigate sometimes because people do see them and they're like, oh, so you can hear. No, I really can't. Mine are off half the time. They're in my ears, but they're not doing anything a lot of the time. And they help, but they don't fix it.
Yeah.
And yeah, people want an easy fix, and a lot of parents want an easy fix, and I get it. I understand. As a parent, I understand where that comes from because you just want everything to be easy for your kid. You want them to have the easiest possible time on earth that you can give them. And it sucks when there's any challenge in the way. It's hard. It's hard just because the world's not set up for it. But yeah, there is that whole thing about technology and about speaking and all the things that make it easier for hearing people or for neurotypical people, but they actively make it harder for the people it's actually affecting. So what are we doing? How about we find something that works for everyone? Just a thought. Like sign language, maybe.
Yeah. Or even things, like closed captioning and transcripts and subtitles, which are things developed for, largely the deaf community, but helps everyone. Like I watch everything with subtitles now,
I love subtitles. I love them. I love them. I love them. I hate when they cover a foreign language being spoken and translated with just foreign language.
Yeah.
But otherwise, for the most part, we're good.
Yeah.
That gets me every time.
Yeah. And of course, Seen and Not Heard itself has transcripts as well. So it's accessible in that way too.
Yeah. And fun fact, there's more in the transcripts than there is in the show. Because the dialogue that is muffled is also transcribed. So yeah, anytime you're going to hear things in the background or through Bet's hearing, you can find out what's being said if you read the transcript. Which I did on purpose because I want people to read transcripts. So.
Yeah, transcripts are great. Yeah, I've been doing transcripts for my show for several years, so there will be one for this episode too.
Yay!
Very good. Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Yeah. So, Seen and Not Heard, season 1's been out for a few years. Season 2, it just started coming out a couple months ago. Where can people find Seen and Not Heard if they want to learn about the show or your other audio work?
Well, everything that I have made is on Spotify, Apple, all the podcatchers. We're on all of them. It's that very like wherever you find your podcast, but
Yeah.
there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
But I'm popping around on the socials. I deleted Twitter because and I have tried to keep up with Tumblr, but it is my eyes go crossed every time I get on Tumblr. But I am on there. You can find Seen and Not Heard on there, and there's some posting. And I'm going to try to be a little better about that. All of our transcripts are linked in our show notes, and you can find all sorts of other links to things. We've got interviews with some of the cast members as well, and we talked to our sound designer. I'm hoping to do more of that after season 2 if I have the time. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm everywhere. If you search Caroline Mincks podcast, I'm gonna show up. I'm in there.
Okay, very cool. And we're connected on Blue Sky. Some of the episodes say Twitter, but now it's Blue Sky. If you are someone who has moved from one platform to another, that's where that is. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are on there. I'm a little sporadic about posting on there, but I'm gonna try to get a little better about it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Caroline, it's been great talking with you. As we close out, is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know, or anything they can help or support you with?
Oh gosh, I probably should have prepared something for that, shouldn't I? No, not really at the moment. Just like root for me, because I'm doing the single parent and full-time school and doing this thing, and that's a lot of things. So be patient with me. The show is coming, I promise. But the best way to support me, I guess, is just go check out the show and let me know what you think, because I love talking it to death with people. Ask any of my friends.
And we'll put a link to your show on some of the platforms, or just a way for people to help find it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Caroline, again, it was really great talking with you. I'm so glad we finally got to talk
to you
after all these years.
Let's not wait 5 years again.
Yeah, let's not, for sure.
Thank you. This was lovely.